LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure that
Welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. This evening, we celebrate the trans perspective on the headlines with a special transgender takeover. It is 8 p.m., Thursday, February 10th, 2022, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are part of the partnership between Happening Out Television Network and Hotspots Magazine. Hotspots is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ+ experience. We bring you the best of LGBTQ+ news, entertainment, and support of our community.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Misty Eyes. Let's welcome Tobias Packer. Tobias is Communications Director for the Services Employees International Union and is co-founder of the Trans Collaborative Network. He is a proud South Florida native and transgender man. For the last 17 years, Tobias has played a key role in the passage of dozens of local ordinances throughout Florida to secure protections in employment, housing, and public accommodations for transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people. Please help me welcome Tobias.
Well, thank you, Misty. Let's now welcome anchor Carvelle Estriplet, founder of Carvelle Bikes, the only LGBTQ+ bicycle business in Wilton Manors. She is located in the Wilton Collective Building on the Drive. She is an unapologetic, proud Black trans woman and member of the Wilton Manors Community Affairs Advisory Board. She also serves as the Deputy Director for the Florida Democratic LGBTQ+ Caucus. Good evening, Carvelle.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Let's welcome anchor Raji, Raji, a famous, multi-talented transgender activist, actress, author, mystic, reality TV star, personality. She's also multi-racial descent and also has appeared in more than 35 television TV shows across the globe. Welcome, Raji.
Thank you. Great to be here. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Thursday, February 10th.
Queer Up Education. Florida's Don't Say Gay ignites national condemnation of governor and GOP. Queer News Tonight has continued to report on Florida's Don't Say Gay bill and how it would harm LGBTQ children in the state. After Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis voiced support for the legislation earlier this week, President Joe Biden tweeted, quote, "I want every member of the LGBTQIA community, especially the kids who will be impacted by this hateful bill, to know that you are loved and accepted just as you are. I have your back, and my administration will continue to fight for the protections and safety that you deserve." End quote. Jeffrey Sachs, a researcher at PEN America, recently noted that GOP lawmakers across the U.S. have introduced at least 137 bills that aim to limit the ability of teachers and students to discuss gender, racism, and other topics, including a growing number of proposals to establish so-called tip lines that would empower parents to discipline their teachers.
Wow, it's Ron DeSantis. I mean, these guys, they're deplorable. They're trying to basically erase our history, who we are, and they're showing exactly what they are. They're not. Hey, the divisiveness, the depravity of this party is just disgusting, and the message is clear. We got to be out there and vote. I mean, this is an election year. I know most people think it's not a presidential year, but this is our governor. Our governor is, like I call him, Ron DeSantis.
I mean, he's definitely tried to not only erase us, but erase all Floridians with his COVID policies as well.
Yeah.
And but I'm encouraged to see the Biden administration reaching out to our community and our youth and saying, "Look, we've got your back, regardless of what your horrible state,
your local leader,
leaders do.
Yeah,
we've got your back."
The message that Biden said, it's so powerful, because I remember growing up as a kid, a gay/trans kid, and oftentimes I felt so ostracized, like I didn't belong. So I'm happy that he put that message out, because it's important, especially for our youth, to know that they are loved and that they are fine just the way they are.
It reminds me of the time in 2005 when I had gonorrhea. I ignored it. I pretended it wasn't there.
I'm sorry, Mr.
It's okay. I'm being very serious, Raji.
No.
I mean,
that was a good way of breaking it. It's good ice cream.
But I looked at Tobias and he cracked up laughing.
Your face.
I know I'm being serious.
No, but the way you said it.
Please continue.
I'm being very serious. Let me focus myself. But it reminded me of the time when I was trying to ignore something and hoping it went away. You can't ignore us. If you ignore us, like I did in that situation, it just got worse. It also reminds me of the Clinton era, don't ask, don't tell. And that forced a lot of people to go back into the closet and or stay in the closet. And the problem is that these children in elementary schools now have to be terrified to come out of the closet. What about Heather, who has 2 mommies? Is she allowed to talk about her family?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what about when you have to draw pictures of your family? And who are these? Oh, I can't say, I'll get kicked out of school. That is putting a lot of fear and stigma back on our children, and that is a huge problem. Do not force people not to talk about who and what they are.
And it punishes our teachers as well, and our teachers are already way too punished.
It's like we're going back in time. Like, I mean, I grew up with this crap, and like we've come so far, and it's like, this tug of war. Anyway.
We're gonna win. It'll be okay.
Go ahead, Carvelle.
Queer Up the USA headlines. Residents describe New York City's only LGBTQ shelter as a nightmare. Named after LGBTQ or a transgender icon, Marsha P. Johnson, Marsha House is the only shelter in New York City Department of Homeless Services system dedicated to LGBTQ plus community, which experienced discriminatory high number rates of homelessness. The shelter has been plagued by lawsuits for everything from alleged denied residents with service animals, which is against federal law, to security guards harassing residents and on dating apps. Andrew Reinholtz, a bisexual man from Baltimore who lives at Marshall House from January 20th to April 2021, recalled both security and staff being indifferent and violence among the residents. Reinholtz said once heard one resident get his jaw broken, a clenching, spine-tingling sound. He begged through the shelter workers for help. Residents have also said they observed widespread substance abuse among the shelter residents, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and type of synthetic marijuana called K2.
Oh, this is horrible.
Yeah, it's
horrible. And they dare to have Marsha P. Johnson
on the name,
on the name of the shelter.
Yes,
a hero in our community. It's a disgrace.
I mean, here's the thing. So it shows that just doing one thing isn't enough, that we've got to do it well, right? So the Department of Homeless Services gave our community a dedicated shelter, but clearly didn't do well enough to resources, to staff it, to monitor it, to give us the services that we deserve. And thank goodness that it's coming to light now, and I'd like to see what New York City is going to do about it.
Yeah, I mean, one other thing is this, as much as in the nonprofit sector, we have so many different options and resources, but it just shows that even within our community, and look at this building named after Marsha P. Johnson, and obviously there's, I have a lot of some reservations, I should say, with some nonprofits in our community, and there's a good example up in New York City how this is disgraceful.
So this hit home to me, as I'm sure it did each and every one of us as trans people, but I work in social services, and the biggest problem that my clients have is homelessness. So I actually went in a deep dive and I read this entire article. The article was actually not attacking Marsha P. Johnson House, it was attacking their security officers. And the good news, the only saving grace for this article is that they could switch security companies. But they have to do better. When your tenants are complaining, switch companies, fire your employees. You must do better. There was there was an example of when they went to the police department, but she chickened out before doing the report. However, the other girl that talked to a lawyer had a lot of screen grabs of the security officers in the courtyard patrolling and saying, come outside, come outside, come outside. So there was a lot of proof that this was happening. Thankfully, it wasn't by a Marsha employee.
I mean, this also just underscores why, contracted employees, not just direct employees of organizations or the city, need to be screened and have good policies for our community.
Well, exactly, because I'm sure like some of the employees saw what was going on and maybe they turned their head. But yeah, I mean, even though they may be contracted, it still is representing the establishment.
Two steps forward, one step.
Yeah.
It's also why we need unions.
That's another topic.
Okay, queer up trans rights. Far-right blogger is trying to trick trans people to appear in a fake documentary. Eli Ehrlich is a PhD candidate at UC Santa Cruz with a modest following. Her areas of research include trans studies, and she herself is trans. Someone named McKenna Lynn initially approached her on behalf of something called the Gender Unity Project about appearing in a documentary. It turned out that, quote, McKenna Lynn was actually McKenna Lynn Waters, a producer for the Matt Walsh Show. The Gender Unity Project is an LLC registered to Justin Folk, a documentarian who works for Matt Walsh. Those familiar with Matt Walsh know that he is famous for going viral with tweets that troll those he considers woke and attacking the trans community. He wrote a hit children's book which equates being trans with pretending to be a walrus so that parents can get a head start on teaching their kids to stigmatize their peers. He went on Dr. Phil to debate trans activists about pronouns in an episode that critics are calling, quote, no longer available for public consumption, end quote. And Twitter recently suspended him for 12 hours for intentionally misgendering Jeopardy champ Amy Schneider last month, in violation of its nebulously defined, quote, hateful conduct policy.
I'm gonna just say this. I remember the guys that picked on me the most in school. A lot of them.
Thou protest too much.
Hello.
They're the ones they want. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Matt Walsh, whoever he is, he's trolling, professional troll. Maybe you got something you like the girls. You wanna. I don't know. It's just repressive.
He can't take the desire.
He can't, exactly.
So he hates us.
Yeah, so he has to go out and mock us and make these fake documentaries. It's disgusting and funny and bizarre at the same time. Yeah.
My worst. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it also just shows that you have to be careful who you talk to, right? Anyone, there's a lot of things that are made, documentaries and telling our stories, and it's amazing to tell our stories, and there's more opportunities than we've ever had before. But if somebody calls you up and asks you to tell your story, figure out who they are first before you know how they're going to, so you know how they're going to use it.
And that's something I thought about because I am always getting contacted by different media outlets and different people to do interviews, and I was thinking like I could have been easily pulled into something like this.
Sure.
So
especially we're such a focal point right now, like to see they're trying to pass bills, and then all the trolls are coming out of the woodwork, and then it's just disgusting. So,
me personally, Raji was there. Was approached by a television company that wanted to document my wedding.
Oh my God.
And Raji was one of my bridesmaids. And when they first contacted me, I had to do deep research, just like Ehrlich did, and their research for who's filming me, What's their reputation? Are they going to bash me? And very much like them, I did a deep dive. However, I still ended up on the same episode of Extreme Love, where a man was in love with his car. And that was not the greatest light. However, they did a very good job of accurately depicting and studying our community and our story. So that was a awkward situation.
Exactly.
But as far as Matt Walsh is concerned, I did look into him as well. He hates everything and he hates everyone. He makes fun of fat people, trans people, all kinds of people. And reading his Twitter feed was quite repulsive. LGBTQ plus community, we do not need idiots' approval to be authentic and live our open and honest lives.
Sound like he hates himself. That's what it's
Well, all I'm going to say is karma is real, honey. He better watch out. So let's queer up religion. Attorney General Michaella Cash says, protecting trans students poses risk to religious schools. Yesterday, Queer News reported on a bill being pushed through the Australian government that would allow businesses to deny LGBTQ plus individuals based on religious freedom. Several MPs have warned the Prime Minister that they cannot accept a provision in the bill that would allow schools to deny transgender students the ability to attend. Attorney General Michaella Cash, quote, says, if subsection 38(3) of the Sex Discrimination Act were amended to remove the exemption for religious schools to discriminate against a student on the basis of their gender identity, it could have the potential to effectively nullify the intentions and ethos of religious single-sex schools. Wow.
Jesus.
Well, this doesn't sound like anything like unfamiliar because we've had states here in our country that have tried to pass similar laws. So it's nothing really shocking to me. It's just a shame that it continues to go on, you know?
I mean, religious exemption has been used to support bigotry for a very long time. I mean, when you look at Brown versus the Board of Education passed in the 60s,
that's true.
Religious exemption was used right here in Florida to ensure schools remained all white. This is an old tactic, now being used against our community specifically to keep us from basic citizenship rights, right? Like going to school, using a public accommodations, and giving us access to everything else that everyone else enjoys.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that it's this reverting back. That like we have our bill here in Florida, and then of course this proposal in Australia. It seems like it's worldwide backlash against our community, or just fundamental decency or democracies in crisis too. But that's another thing. But it just seems this backlash is worldwide, and it's just scary and frightening at the same time.
I often think of us, our trans sisters and brothers in other countries, like, we have our issues here, certainly we do. But I often think of like the ones that live in countries like where it's really life and death, like Saudi Arabia, for instance. I mean, I watched a documentary on that on Netflix the other day, and the stuff that's going on there is just horrific. So I can't even imagine if you're a trans person in a country like that, how it would be. We have to unify worldwide.
Unfortunately, many people use religion to throw fear and stigma into our lives. And most people of faith are very afraid of many things. They might be afraid of hell, they might be afraid of sinning, they might be afraid of whatever. This woman is anti-LGBTQ. The good news is, overwhelmingly, the people on this school board voted in favor of their gay kids. So she is isolating the transgender kids using the fact that we cannot go to a single-sex school because we are more than just a single sex. However you spell it, however you look at it, segregation is segregation.
Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine and supporting that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ plus religious live broadcast in the world, as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch this.
My name is Gordon Woodworth III. I'm a non-binary pagan person from South Florida, an employee of Broward House, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We finished tonight's queer news headlines with what we call LGBTQ flash news. LGBTQ flash news. U.S. House passes bill to support LGBTQ human rights worldwide. The Global Respect Act, which was introduced by Representative David Cicilline, who's gay and chair of the LGBTQ Equality Caucus, was approved in the House by a vote of 227 to 206. The bipartisan legislation seeks to strengthen the commitment by the United States to the LGBTQ human rights overseas, such as by denying visas to individuals who commit human rights abuses against LGBTQ people abroad. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said in a statement after the vote, the House, quote, took a bold step forward in protecting the fundamental rights and dignities of the global LGBTQ plus community. This is about time. We got some good news on this show, and I am thankful.
I'm ready to hear it about the Equality Act so we can have jobs.
That part.
It's a great act, but unfortunately it's not going to pass the Senate. Sorry. Wah, wah.
Oh my God, I just want to cry after
I'm
you
sorry,
said
it's
that.
true. I mean, the Senate is locked up.
Yeah, I like the fact that, they're trying to think about
Yeah.
LGBTQ people around the world.
And thinking out of the box is smart.
Yeah.
LGBTQ plus flash news. Senate confirms first LGBTQ plus ambassador level post who is a person of color. In July, Queer News reported that President Biden has nominated Chantel Wong for ambassador level position. On Tuesday, she was confirmed by the Senate in a 66 to 31 vote, making her the first openly lesbian and first openly LGBT person of color to be nominated to such a position. Wong, who is an Asian American, brings to the role more than 30 years of experience in finance and technology and environmental. According to the White House news release, she previously served as an acting budget director at the Treasury Department and as a NASA budget director. She will now serve as the U.S. Director for the Asian Development Bank. Awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, anytime there's an LGBTQ plus person in a, high position, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Facts. I love that Joe Biden is putting his money where his mouth is and living up to his promises to help elevate those that are not the cis heteronormative majority.
I love her hair.
Oh, I do too.
And it's so awesome that she was at NASA as well.
Yeah, I like that.
A lesbian who was at NASA? Yes, please.
Yes.
LGBTQ plus flash news. South Dakota kills bid to ban trans students from using the right bathroom. Queer News Tonight reported last week on the South Dakota bill that would ban trans students from using the bathroom that matches the gender they identify as. It has passed through the State House with a 38 to 29 vote. But on Tuesday, 6 of the 7 members of the Senate Judiciary Committee voted to reject the bill. Senator Michael Roll mentioned to move the bill to the 41st legislative day, an act that sends a bill to the day after the last day of the legislative session for discussion and kills the proposed legislation. The motion was seconded by Senator David Wheeler, and a 6-to-1 vote was made in favor of killing the bill. All 7 members of the committee are Republican, but only Senator Jim Stalzer recommended the bill pass and be sent to the Senate floor. Good. Kill it. We don't need any more to keep us from going to the bathroom.
Yeah, I know. It's just an onslaught of this awfulness.
I sat at a job for 3 years, 8 hours a day, not able to use the bathroom.
You had to go in your car, right?
Sometimes I do it in my car. I'm so embarrassed to say that, but yeah. So, I'm glad they killed this.
Yeah.
Isn't this the same state that is saying only girls play girls' sports?
Yeah.
I think it is, right? So this is amazingly good news. Yeah. It overwhelmingly passed against the children, and then suddenly it was killed in the last minute. I'm saying this is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. LGBTQ plus flash news. Representative reads from children books on gender transition during House floor speech. Watch this.
Yields back. The chair now recognizes the Congresswoman from Minnesota, Ms. Craig, for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Today, for the Jazz and Friends Day of School and Community Readings, hosted by HRC's Welcoming Schools program, I'm going to read from the book Calvin, written by J.R. and Vanessa Ford and illustrated by Kayla Haran of Minnesota. It's critically important to make sure that transgender and non-binary youth not only feel supported, but valued and affirmed for who they are. I'm reading from the book Calvin. For as long as I could remember, I knew I was a boy. I draw myself with short hair and a shirt like Papa's. I dream about swim trunks like my dad and brother wore. I didn't tell my family until the night before our summer trip to Gigi and Papa's. I was scared they wouldn't believe me, but I knew it was time to be me.
Democrat Rep. Angie Craig used her most recent House floor speech to read in full a children's book on gender transition, and conversations conservatives are losing their minds. Right-wing media outlet The Washington Free Beacon wrote in a report Wednesday, quote, Wednesday marked the third time the Congresswoman has promoted the program on the House floor. Craig also delivered book readings in February 2021 and in February 2020 for HRC's annual day to support transgender youth. Craig has previously read titles off the Welcoming School book list, including When Aiden Became a Brother, a story about a gender-confused big sister turned brother, and They, She, He, Easy as ABC, a children's guide to inclusive pronouns. The Welcoming School project by the Human Rights Campaign provides a resource guide suggested for kindergarten through second grade classrooms to help them understand gender in terms appropriate for youngsters. Wow. You know what? Any opportunity to advocate, hey, take it.
I love it. If they give you the spotlight, girl, use it accordingly. And Calvin, good boy.
Listen, I love the idea of reading a children's book.
Simple.
Simple.
Yes. This is wonderful. I mean, this is great to have a book like this in light of all the stories that we were talking before. So,
LGBTQ plus flash news. Trans Jeopardy champion Amy Schneider quits her job to pursue her dreams. Amy Schneider won big on Jeopardy. What is she doing next? No, not going to Disney World, at least not that we know of. Instead, she's going to use her new platform to get some work done. In a tweet, she said, I've done some more press. I've also been taking a ton of meetings with different people that want to do the work with me in various different ways. Started to plan what charitable work I want to do, worked on a proposal for a book, a murder to plan, and a gilder to frame for it. I am swamped, end quote. I say, Diva, you have enough money to live without a job for quite a while. Go and be you, pay it forward, and live authentically, honey.
Show up for us. You already are. Keep doing it because we need it. Thank you, Amy.
Retweet.
take that long-awaited trip to the Fiji Islands, something like this, take whatever. She has enough money, but it's great.
Relax.
Yeah, relax, yeah.
Yeah, Amy is brilliant, and she deserves to be able to do what she wants to do. I'm so happy for her.
And that is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by linking and subscribing, ringing the bell for updates, and sharing the news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in many groups you are a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserves the attention of your family and friends. Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Misty Eyes, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+, and tonight specifically transgender reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight's Transgender Takeover include Tobias Packer, Carvelle Estriplet, and Raji Narayan Singh. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. Good night.
Bye.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now.